Friends, Eric Andres, your guitar sage. I'm just noodling a little bit of blues this morning. And today, I'm glad you're with me. We're going to be doing a little bit of a blues basics primer. That's a little redundant, but it's November the 17th, and this is what we're talking about because we're getting ready to have Corey Congilio on the show next week at this very time. If you guys don't know who Corey is, you need to because he's a badass player. He's going to show us all sorts of amazing blues stuff, and I'm going to prime you today. This is the getting ready for that, okay? He's going to be on 2 times here, actually. Next week, and then we're going to do one in December, okay? So we just did a course with Corey Congilio here at the studios. It's a badass course, of course, from a badass player. You guys are going to learn a ton. I'm really excited about this. We worked together on this, and it's almost all together. The very first course there's also an intermediate course. We'll be talking about that. But all that later, okay? What I'm going to be showing you today, well, first off, we're going an hour today, so we'll be doing a little bit of a mini lesson in the beginning here, and then I'll be taking your questions in real time. And we'll be getting to them, I don't know, within 15 minutes, I would say, okay? So yeah, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Here we go. We're talking about 12-bar blues, boogie-woogie licks, or some sort of licks, something that we can do to change the basic 12-bar blues up. Then we're going to talk about the blues scale. These 3, and if we take out the boogie-woogie licks in the middle there, those 2 are the most important 2 things when it comes to blues. We got to know the minor blues scale, or we should just need to know the blues scale, because we can shift that into major or minor like I did there just a second ago. And as far as the 12-bar blues, that is the construction. If that chord progression sounded familiar to you, not like a hit song, but maybe just like, yeah, I get that, and you could feel the music as it was moving along, and you could kind of have a sense for where it was going, that's because that chord progression has been played millions and millions and millions and millions of times. And in some of our favorite songs, like Tush by ZZ Top, like Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, it's really an infinite, Green Onions. I mean, there's an infinite amount of songs, nearly, that are based around the 12-bar blues. And so we're going to talk about that basic structure and how we can change that a little bit. We've got to start there because that's everything, right? The construction of that chord progression. And then we'll talk about how to make that a little bit more fun. Because just now what I did there is I was kind of putting some other little licks and what have you, to lay that bed, that foundation, and then to solo on top of it, it gave it a little bit more life as opposed to just strumming through the chords. So we'll talk about how to do that. Okay? Nothing super special for you today as far as like promotions or anything. We are doing a merch sale on the website, YourGuitarSage.com, and we do have some dueling ninjas. I was just playing through this one just now. You can see that. That's kind of one of our first iterations of it, but we have, I think, 7 of them right behind this wall here. So they sell out really fast. If you want one, you know what to do. Go to YourGuitarSage.com, go to the shop, and get one. Make sure that you get a wall wart with it, the power supply, okay? Because they don't have batteries, okay? This is not your grandfather's pedal. This is the dueling ninja, okay? It needs to be plugged in. Technically, we could use a battery in it, but who does that anymore, right? You want your sound diminishes with the battery. So, anyhow, go get a dueling ninja. They sound great for blues, rock, everything else. All right, check it out. All right, excellent. Let's delve into it right now. The 12-bar blues. You've heard it before. Sounds something like this: 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's each one of those is a measure. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, just basic vibe there of a 12-bar blues progression. 12 bars, meaning 12 measures. And a measure is basically a little snippet, a little chunk of music as dictated by, if the song's in 4, then you're going to have 4 beats in a measure. If the song's in 6, you're going to have 6 beats in a measure. If it's going to be 7, if it's in 7/5 or 7/8, then it would be 7 beats per measure. So a measure or bar is a measure. Okay. So in this case here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a measure. It's 12-bar blues progression because there are 12 bars or 12 measures of music, and they have a very specific pattern to it. Mike, would you show the kids this PDF that we made? Painstakingly created for you guys. This is a 12-bar blues progression, as you're seeing here, by the band The Old Crusties, as you can see there. I don't know when I wrote that. This is the chord progression that you hear so much, right? So check this out. Many different ways that you can play this. When you see that little division symbol, that just means repeat the chord, by the way. So the way I was playing it here doesn't tell you what the tempo is, doesn't tell you what the feel is or anything like that. That 4/4 just means 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good, got that. Ooh, I thought that was out. So here you go. A7, if you know it, it looks a little bit like an A chord. Okay, first chord is an A7, goes straight to a D7, followed by 2 measures of A7. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, D7, 2, 3, 4, A7, 2, 3, 4, A7, 2, 3. Second line. 2 measures of D7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 measures of A7, 1, 2, 3, 4. A measure of E7, this is called a turnaround, by the way. E7, D7, A7, 2, 3, 4, E7, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that little last line there, that's bars or measures. 9, 10, 11, 12, it's called the turnaround. It's where all the action happens, where you always hear this. Okay, that's really happening on that A7, E7 bit. So I might play E7, and then our turnaround, A7. And what that's doing is that's telling your ear, hey guys, here we go, we're coming up to the top again. So if you get lost or something like that, all music is like this, by the way. There are cues, okay? There are cues that are happening just like movies when it fades from black, right? Fades into the scene and stuff. You know, hey, it's time to shut your pie hole, put the popcorn down, let's watch the movie type of thing, right? So music has cues all the time. It's cueing you as to, hey man, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. Whether the writer knows that or not, that's what they're doing. They're doing this through tension and release, and that's what's happening with all these chords. It's always happening. It's never not happening. It's like breathing in and out, right? So that's what we have there is a 12-bar blues progression. Now we can change this up. There's lots of different ways that we can do this, and in fact, if you subscribe to Pro Jam Tracks, which is a new channel that we've created here on YouTube. I'm sure Emmy or Mike will put that in the description here. But if you go there, we're putting up lots of jam tracks there, and some of them are variations of these blues bits. There's lots of different styles there, punk and worship and rock and jazz and gypsy jazz and reggae and all sorts. But that being said, you're going to see some examples of that, because I know you're probably saying, well, what examples are you talking about? I'll give you some examples, but that's where you'll want to hear them for sure, okay? So for instance, we could do the same chord progression in minor chords. Instead of 7th chords, we could do it in minor chords. So we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So everywhere I'm seeing an A or a D or a E, I'm playing minor chords. Now, that's just yet another variation. Don't have to do it that way. Another variation is to not go to that D7. So you could just, if you wanted a simpler version of it, you could just go A7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can just stay at an A7 for those first 4 bars. And then a D7. It almost always goes to that 4 chord, that D7, and then the A7. And Now this part, now we could go, you could just stay on that A7 too. There's lots of different variations for this, but for it to be a 12-bar blues progression, it needs to be 12 bars. If you want more information on this, because I don't want to wear you guys out on this, and obviously I've got a few videos here on YouTube, maybe 1,200 or 13 or 1,500. There are a lot now. We don't count anymore. But nonetheless, I've got stuff on the 12-bar blues. Just search Your Guitar Sage 12-bar blues if you want more info on that, okay? So I want to sail through these really quickly. This is just a primer, okay? Corey's going to take you down the road tomorrow or next week. And then we've got the courses for you as well. Let's talk about how we can make this a little bit more lively. So, you know, the 12-bar blues can be played with chords like this. If you listen to those jam tracks that we create, the riffs are endless. There's so many different things that you can do with it. You know, you've heard this sort of I mean, we could use that over any of this stuff. A little bit slow for this. So that's a little slower, right? But we could also just do a straight up boogie woogie lick, which would be like. Okay, many different ways that we can do this. So, and in fact, that's some of the things that Corey's going to be talking about with us on next week. So let me show you the easiest, the most simple boogie woogie lick riff that any of you can do today. I can promise you any of you can do this. What you're going to do is you're going to put your first finger on the second fret of the D string. That's the fourth string from the bottom. And then you're going to toggle back and forth between your first finger and your third finger that's going to be on the fourth fret of that same string, okay? This is the D string we're talking about. And you're only playing strings A and D. You're only playing those two. You're going to either mute the rest or just don't pick them. If this is too new to you and you don't get all this, don't get frustrated. Everybody has to start at 0 and work their way up. There's no one that doesn't do that. So just understand. Then if you're having an issue with fretting and that sort of thing, you need to go back further. Check out the free course that I have for you. Link will be in the description below, but it's YourGuitarSage.com/30 if you have any questions about these basic bits that we're going to be doing here, okay? YourGuitarSage.com/30 has like 30-something lessons in it. Watch that. Okay. Assuming now that you know how to do some of those basics. So really we're just fretting frets 2 and 4 on the D string, and we're going to be toggling back and forth between the two, and we're just going to be playing strings 5 and 4, or A and D. It's going to sound like this. We're just going back and forth. We could go. So you're hitting it twice. Or you don't have to be muting it like I'm doing. You could go. Now, check this out. When you go to the A chord, the only thing you do is you move everything down one string. I said everything. That means you're muting. That means the strings that you pick. That means your fretting hand. Everything moves down one string. So watch this. Now, this is really difficult, so pay attention. It's very difficult. Here we go. Watch. That's all I'm doing right there, okay? Looks easy? It's easy. Okay, so then really you're just doing 2 and 4 right here on strings 4 and 3. And so like this. Then when we go to the A7 again, we're going back here. Then when we go to the E7, watch. Watch, don't get lost, it's very difficult. There we go. That's the E7. So in this case here, we're moving up, right? Down in pitch, but up on the fretboard here. We're moving to strings 6 and 5. So again, the picking hand moves as well to pluck those two strings, and that's it. And so it's the same motif, the same rhythmic motif, the same melodic motif. It's just built upon that chord. You're playing the 5 and the 6 of the chord here. That's what your fingers are doing while the root is being played. This is the root, this is the 5, this is the 6. And so when we're doing, we're throwing that in there. We're throwing that little guy in there. Except we're just playing. Okay, so again, here's the A7. Mike, would you put that 12-bar blues on the screen again? And I'll drop my hand a little bit so I'm not, so it's not on top of me. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. Here, watch this. Here's the, oh, by the way, take a picture of the screen because you want this. Okay, take a picture of the screen. Ready? Here we go. Go, do it.
Get down there.
All right, here we go. All right, so watch this. So here's the turnaround at the top, and we'll be starting on the chord. So don't worry about the turnaround. I'll tell you when to start. It's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to count. It's the last 2 bars. Doesn't matter. Start when I tell you to. Here we go. Here we go. A, D, and I changed the motif on you. Let's keep it simple. Here we go. A7, D7, A7, D7, A7. Here comes our turnaround. E7, D7, A7, E7. Okay, easy enough. Now watch, we're gonna add a little something, a little fun, if you will, a little spice. Okay, watch this. We're gonna add our pinky now. So if you want to get real fancy, you can add your pinky, and it'll add this vibe. Okay, so watch this. A7. Here we go. 2. Forget about the counting. I don't know how to count. Here we go. 1, 2. A7. D7. A7. D7, A7. Here's our E7, D7, A7. Okay, now obviously it doesn't sound as fancy because I'm trying to keep you just into the riff there, but now we can change it up a little bit, add a few little things like turnarounds and what have you. So this would take place in the last 2 measures here. Here's our A7 and our D7. I added a little bend there. D7. A7. Here's our E7. Now, right there, I just grabbed an E7 and a D7 instead of the E7 and D7 here. You know this because you watched my recent video on the cage system and 7th chords. So you know this already, right? Otherwise, you're going to search YourGuitarSage caged 7th chords, right? Okay, so here we go. So there you go. Here's our E7, or E7 and our D7. Turnaround, which I'm not showing you today. Okay, more on that later. All right, so that's just some things to bring some life to a basic 12-bar blues progression. How do you know what to do there, Eric? You don't. These are just literally, there is no right or wrong. This is not math, right? This is not math. This is literally art. It's subjective. You get to do whatever it is that you want. And if it sounds good, it's right. If it doesn't sound good, it's not right. Okay? It's literally you get to do what you want. The reason I'm showing you this stuff, though, is because this kind of stays within the lines of the parameters, if you will, of what we call blues and the types of blues that you hear a lot. Okay? So, got to know the 12-bar blues. If you don't, you're going to have a real hard time sounding bluesy on anything, right? So it's the foreground, if you will, of our music, whereas the soloing and that sort of thing, improvisation is the background is the chords. The foreground, me, if I was a song, this would be the chords, this would be the solo, right? So now we need to talk about notes over the top of this stuff. We're going to talk about the blues scale based on the pentatonic scale, also known as the 5-note scale. It only has 5 notes in it. Our regular diatonic harmony, like we hear all day long, is 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 8. Eric was wrong. No, I wasn't. That's called the octave. That's the same as the 1. We don't say it twice. We just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again. Okay, but it's 7 notes. So that is our basic diatonic scale, also known as the Ionian mode, also known as the major scale. And it's what 99.9% of all music is built upon, okay? I can say that confidently after playing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of songs and teaching thousands and tens of thousands of lessons. I am confident that unless the stars just align a perfect way, and only those songs built upon the major and minor scale, which the minor scale is a derivative of the major, so I'm including it in that, they're all based off the major scale. Okay? So I feel very confident about saying that. Okay? All right, let's talk about the blues scale. Mike, would you show us a picture of the blues scale? So this is an A. Okay? You see red dots, you see black dots. The red dots are the tonic. In this case here, it's an A. You can see we're at the 5th fret there. It's a very simple scale and the most used scale of all times. In fact, this fun little lick, right? All that bit right there that you're hearing, the beginning of Stairway to Heaven, is that scale right there, okay? And a ton of other solos and riffs and what have you, okay? So let's talk about this. So the ones are the tonic. That's our home base, okay? We talked about tension and release. The release is when we come back home, when we come back to the 1. There has to be some center of gravity, right? When you watch a movie, it's not a really good ending. It won't be a happy, joyful ending like you see in the Disney movies and what have you, unless there's lots and lots and lots of turmoil, because they're messing with your emotions. They got to bring you way down. You're like, oh my God, no. Will Ariel ever be united with Prince Eric? I don't think she's going to make it this time. I mean, like, her dad's mad, and inevitably they always end up together, right? That's tension and release in movies, so we have this in music too. And even though we know it's coming, and we know they're going to get together in the end, there still has to be that in order to make the movie interesting, right? Same thing is true with music. We got to have that tension and release. If you don't, it's very boring. In fact, the more elementary the music is, the more childlike it is. Nothing wrong with it. It's just our little baby brains take time to catch up to listen to things like the Beatles and Radiohead and Muse and all these great bands. In the beginning, our little baby brains can't handle that. We need to hear something very, 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 very simple, right? Like the ABCs or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Same song, by the way. Also written by Amadeus Mozart, if you didn't know. So those types of songs are very simple to us as a child, and then as we progress more, obviously we can get into these other genres and more complex music and what have you. All right, I don't know how I got down that rabbit hole, but this right here is the blues scale, and this is in A. Check out how this sounds. First off, I'm going to play the A pentatonic scale for you. It leaves out that flat 5, or what you're seeing in there as looks like a B5. It's a flat 5, okay? So if I just played the pentatonic scale without those, it would sound like this. All right? And if we throw in that flat 5, it sounds like this. And by the way, here's what the flat 5 sounds like. Doesn't that sound wrong? Watch this. If I just play some of the scale notes, but I play that flat 5, listen how bad it sounds. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Yeah. But when used together with the 4 and the 5, it sounds really cool. Watch this. And so it sounds really nice, especially if we're bending into that flat 5 there, like, or bending out of it. Or if I go, so I'm bending to this note here, but I'm bending through the flat 5. And then there's some tension there. Tension, tension, tension. Let's release it. There's the release. That's what I'm talking about, tension and release, if you're wondering. Now watch. Release, tension, release. More release. Because that's the 1. We're coming back to that 1, okay? So, now technically you can play any one of these notes, okay? But you're going to notice that when you're on the A chord, the A is going to sound great. When you're on the D chord, the D sounds great. When you're on the E chord, the E sounds great, okay? This is, if you've ever heard guitar players talking amongst each other, like when I have the guys on here, right? We're talking about playing over the top of a chord. That's a smaller version of that. Okay, that is what we're talking about. It's being cognizant of what the rest of the folks in the band are playing. If you and I are having a conversation or we're sitting at a table with other folks and we're talking about whatever, it'd be good to know what it was that we're talking about. It'd also be good to know not only, hey, what are we talking about, but also be good to know about that specific subject if we wanted to have some input and share some of our wisdom or something, you know? So very important. So in the same way here, when we're playing on top of a particular chord, we're aligning ourselves with the conversation, the music, if you will, okay? So for instance, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna have a little fun here, and I'm gonna show you just how I can play with the 1, the 4, and the 5. Now I'm gonna need to bring in some other notes, still from the scale, but in different places on the neck, so don't fret about that. Just understand the important thing here is as I go to the chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5, which is the A, the D, and the E, respectively, then you're going to hear it sounds good. It sounds like I'm following the chord. So the A is the 1, the D is the 4, and the E is the 5. How do I know that? Ooh, must be some magical code. It's not. It's super easy. Use your decoder ring, also known as the major scale, because it tells you everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's literally it. So when we're looking at the scale and you see a 1, that's a 1. We're using the major scale to analyze it. So if I go to the 4, 2, 3, 4, you can see it's right underneath, right there on the screen, right underneath that 1, and then the 5 is a whole step up from that. That's how you decipher that. But we can also name chords like that. So the 1 is the D chord, and the 4 is the D, the 1 is the A chord in the key of A. And the 4 is the D note, also represented by the D7 chord there. And then the 5 is an E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an E, and also represented by the E chord, your E7. So if I play this chord progression, I can have the 1, the 4, and the 5. So here's the 1. Now watch, I'm going to go to the 5. One. I'm going to slide up to the 5 here. It's going to change. Okay, now all those other notes that I'm dropping into you are creating tension and interest, right? Because it'd be real boring if I just played boom. That would be real boring if I did that. And if I went to the 4 chord, real boring, right? But we could have some fun with it. Number 1 here again. Here's a 4, but I'm gonna slide from the 5 just for fun. Here's a 5, I'm coming up for it. Okay, it's literally that simple. Now I know For some of you, that's over your head. For some of you, that's too simple. But again, you can bring it to anywhere that you want. When you're watching your favorite players play blues, essentially it's what they're doing is there's a note or two that's like the main note, and then they're dabbling with the other notes that are around it to create tension. And you learn what works best by just doing it over and over again. You figure out what doesn't work, and then you throw that stuff out and you keep the stuff that works, okay? I went way longer than I wanted it to, but I think it was a good lesson. So let's dig into this a little bit, right? What can I help you guys out with? Let's talk about the blues, or really it could be anything. Suncoaster just said, you just answered me question. Good. Suncoaster is a pirate. Just answered me question. Arg. Okay, good. Thank you, bud. John is saying, hello from 313, longtime UGS Pro member. Eric gives away more than what asked for in return, so I decided to support his pedal merch endeavor. Just picked up my Dueling Ninja pedal. Yes, John, beautiful. Thank you, brother. You're getting one of the last ones in this bunch, so thank you. All right. So he said, dude, that's hard. You got to let me know specifically what you're talking about, and maybe I can help you out, okay? All right, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for those that have all caps and a question mark. That's going to make it a little bit easier, okay? If I don't see that, that's okay. But those are the ones that I'm going to look for first. In fact, I'm going to jet all the way to the top here. And if you left one earlier but didn't leave a question mark, maybe leave it again then for me, okay? So I can see it, because I'm going to assume that you guys are talking amongst each other if I don't see a question mark and all caps. Oh, welcome, KP. Thank you, Chemist. Yes, Corey will be on the show next Tuesday. Got to be here. That's right, and Corey has his own live stream as well on Thursdays at 11 a.m., and it's really good. He's a tasty player. Love his stuff, and a real sweet guy. Oh, got a donation. Beautiful. Who's this? Brent. Thank you, buddy. My life is too good. I don't got the blues, baby. I love that. I know, I have to force myself. Me too, Brent. My life is peachy. It really, truly is. I texted my daughter this morning, and she says, what are you so excited about? I'm like, I'm just super happy. Like, all. The future, everything. I mean that. One's outlook is real important, I've found. I've had crappy outlooks, and I've had positive outlooks, and life is way more fun when you have a positive outlook. Thank you. Emmy posted Corey's channel there. Check him out. If you guys love guitar, subscribe to Corey. He's not going to let you down. I can promise you I would not endorse him if I didn't think he was going to lead you in the right direction. So check him out. There's lots of great players out there and a lot of great teachers. There's a lot of great players. There's a lot of great teachers. There's not a lot of players that are great teachers as well. He is both. Oh, thank you, Stevosaurus. Yep, Corey and Robbie, both great players, great teachers. Yeah, Camus, this is a 1965. This was one of my dream guitars. This sweet short story on this guy. I wanted to get some sort of vintage Strat. Was with Greg Ellis, my guitar tech, and we went to Guitar Center, and I actually bought a matching pair butterscotch 67 Strat, or what I thought was a 67 Strat and a 67 Telly. They were both butterscotch. They were both beautiful. I bought them both. It was a good year, and so I bought both of them. Anyhow, I brought them home, and we took them apart, because that's what you should do if you buy a vintage instrument, before you buy a vintage instrument. I knew I could take mine back, though. When I took them apart, alas, they had like 1972 pickups in one of them, and they were Frankenstein inside. So, you know, unless they were getting in a time machine, there was no way for them to get those 1972 pickups in that 1967 guitar. So I knew it had been tinkered with, so I had to take them back. So we went to Gruen, and I know Gruen goes over their stuff with a fine-tooth comb. Nothing against you, Guitar Center, I love you. But when it comes to vintage instruments, I've gotten a few times I've gotten duped. And I don't even know if they're doing it. I don't think they're doing it purposely. I'm not saying they are or they aren't. Just check your stuff out. However, if you go to Gruen's here in Nashville, and it's just Gruen, actually, I always say Gruen's. If you go to Gruen or you go to Carter Vintage or something like that, those guys check those guitars out like high and low, okay? If I'm vouching for anybody, I'm vouching for them, but since they're not paying me, I'm not vouching for anybody. I just know I've had great luck there, okay? More on this story here in just a minute. Camus, Eric, love your streams. I tune in whenever I can. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about minor blues and incorporating different chords to spice it up like add nines. Yeah, we can talk about that in just 1 second, Camus, for sure. Thank you so much for the kind donation, bud. So anyhow, walked into Gruen's, saw this on the wall, looked beautiful. It was exactly the way I wanted it to look. It had that vibe, had the green, which used to be a white pick guard, but it's got the green pick guard, and that's because of the age and just what they used at the time. And these pick guards now on eBay go for, I'm not playing, $2,500 for this old ass minty pick guard. That's how much they are. Which is why the instrument itself is pretty expensive. But this is one of my favorites, and I absolutely adore it. So thanks, Camus, for asking. Okay, so let's talk about incorporating some other chords to spice it up. So we mentioned, you know, we could do blues with major chords, but the seventh chord seems to really be the king, you know? It seems to be the king. However, if we wanted to, we could do some ninth chords if we wanted to. So here's a few different ways that you could think about this. So a ninth chord is a dominant seventh chord. A dominant seventh chord is a major chord, but we have a flat 7 in there. So again, we're using the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the flat 7's in it, so we need to flatten that guy down a half step, and that's why we have a seventh chord. If we play this one, we've got the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we flatten that note, and that's why we play the chord like this. That's an A7 chord. Same thing with the D7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're putting that note in there. Those are D7, right? So those are seventh chords, also known as dominant seventh chords. If we want to add if we want to do a 9, technically what a ninth chord is, it's a dominant seventh chord, throw the 9 on top of it. How do you find the 9? Same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we could do that. And in that case here, if our chord is this, you know, and we got that chord in there, our chord could technically be like a, you know, and take that back. Let's see here, our 7th would be here. We could do like we're just pulling an interval out there, or we could do the 9 up top. Right? Or we could do our A9 here. And then our D7 would be here, or D9 would be here, E9 here. And so that chord looks like this. Basically, if you took your ring finger, barred strings 1, 2, and 3. Take your first finger, put it on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And then take your second finger and put it on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and that chord sounds like this. So it's infinite what you could do with that, right? It's like I'm just kind of making that up on the spot, but you can do anything that you want there as far as the rhythms and the pushes and all the rest. Just make it sound bluesy, okay? Take your time with it. And then of course we can do that with minor chords. And again, if we really wanted to get fancy, check out some of the jam tracks that I have for you guys on Pro Jam Tracks, the YouTube channel. Okay, we have a few of those actually in or on the YourGuitarSage channel, but we don't want to wear you guys out with jam tracks because basically we started introducing them because we know that some of our viewers want them. But it's a guitar lessons channel. We didn't want to wear you guys out, so that's why we started a different channel. For those of you that don't like jam tracks, or you hate jam tracks, you loathe jam tracks, I don't know who you are, if that's the truth, but if that's the case and you just want to learn, then there you go. You got that. But check out Pro Jam Tracks, our YouTube channel, if you want more of that, okay? Sweet. All right. Yeah, some funky blues, yeah. Yeah, I know the Guitar Center filed for bankruptcy. Yes, I did hear that. But, I mean, they've been talking about that for a few years now, so I don't pay attention anymore. They also said, Gibson was going to go belly up, too, and it didn't. So I don't... People say, do you worry, Eric? And I say, I don't really worry much anymore, and I truly mean that. I'm not saying that I can't worry. I'm not saying that, okay? But what I'm saying is I just don't... if we take me 5 years ago, me 10 years ago, me 20 years ago, I don't worry about things much anymore unless alarms are going off. If alarms going off, I'm like, yeah, probably got tripped because of something, but I'll check it anyhow. I got to turn it off. Whatever that is, whether that's the tornado alarms or whatever it is, I don't worry about stuff like that. Eric saying, I love your jam tracks. Yay, thank you, Eric. Okay. Yes, my knees hurt. You are indeed correct. Learn the construction of the major scale. Get in the course that I give you guys today for free. Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. We've had over 500,000 people go through this. Will be in the link below, YourGuitarSage.com/30. If you are wondering why you're not progressing on guitar, this is free for you. I promise you. You got to go through it, though. It's not going to work unless you go through it. So super duper easy. Some people, they're like, I'd really rather pay thousands of dollars and drive to Nashville and sit with you, Eric. For real? You'd rather do that than click on a link. That's less work for you. Yeah, but I need someone to guide me. Oh, I'll guide you. I'll guide you for free in that course. Or I will guide you here in Nashville with my hand and your guitar, and we'll do it. But it really honestly will cost over $1,000 because I charge $300 an hour for lessons. Eric, that's crazy. That's highway robbery. No, that's what I charge. That's just what it is because I don't really want to teach one-on-one lessons anymore because I can reach so many more people doing this. So that's why I do that, is to say, look, you don't need that, and I give that to you for free. So why wouldn't you just take that, Take that for free. Your A7 is different, Vince says. It might be. It's different than other A7s, but I don't know what A7 you're talking about. So this is an A7. This is an A7. So is this, 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 this. Those are all A7s. This is an A7. All those. So yeah, there's so many different ways that you can play a chord, okay? See the caged system if you haven't gone through this. Search YourGuitarSage Caged. I've got lots of videos for this. Absolutely important for you to get this basic understanding because it will open up everything that you want to do as far as playing those chords across the neck and not being bewildered anymore that, well, now wait a minute. My guitar teacher told me that this was a G chord, but you're teaching this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. Yes, because many different ways to play a particular chord. I say it all the time. If you have chili at Wendy's and then you go have your grandma's chili and you have your mom's chili and then your firefighter's chili and then you make chili. It's chili. Do they all taste exactly the same? right? Because they're made with different ingredients, different amounts of specific ingredients, different qualities of ingredients. Some will leave one thing out, one will put another thing in. In Cincinnati, they put cinnamon in their chili. Who knew? It's pretty good, actually. So a chord is 3 or more notes. So you can think about them like ingredients. But the way your grandma does it is different than the way the firefighter's going to do it. Okay? A G chord is a G, B, D. This is a G chord. It's an out-of-tune G chord, but it's a G chord. Screw it. Here's a G chord. G chord. You know what I mean? As long as we're playing G's and B's and D's all at the same time, that's a G chord. Okay? Yeah. Is the Pro Jam Tracks website live? Eric, the Pro Jam Tracks website is live, but you cannot get a membership to it yet. We have yet to build it. Right now, we're just giving you a bunch of free stuff. Okay? Eventually, it will have thousands of jam tracks. We already are up to probably 1,000, but we want to have thousands of them ready. It's going to be database driven. There's a lot of work that's going into this. We actually had a consultation with a web guy yesterday, and we're starting to upload them to this new platform, but we still have yet to build the engine. But it will be, if you stick around, I'll let you know it, I promise. Major pentatonic over a major progression. Is that the question mark? So what we have, friend, is this is a major progression, right? This is A7, D7, E7. So even though they're seventh chords, they're major chords also, right? Because a dominant seventh chord, or seventh chord in this case, is a major chord with the flat 7 on top of it. So this is a major chord progression, and we're using minor blues. Shouldn't work, but it do, because that's the blues, right? Because this is minor. That note shouldn't even work. There's the note. But that sounds bluesy. Right, so minor should be this note. But it's not. So the minor works, but so does the major. So we could use major pentatonic over that, right? So that's major. I've got lots of videos on that, and to try to explain that in a nutshell, I'm going to sell you short, and it's going to be longer than I want to. So I tell you what, for that particular one, search YourGuitarSage Major Blues. YourGuitarSage Major Blues. Also search YourGuitarSage BB Box. Yeah, that'll get you on the right page. You are welcome, Ruth. How to learn scales from zero. Everybody learns scales from zero. First thing you need to learn is the major scale. The way that I teach it on one string inside of the free course that I'm giving you. Don't sell yourself short and try to get one little tiny niblet, okay? It's not the way you're going to learn something that can be vastly complex, okay? If you want to really learn, if you're asking me, truly, and you know me, I don't mince words. I don't tell you an answer because I think it's going to be comfortable for you, okay? I'm not your mom. I'm not your dad. I'm not changing diapers. I'm not putting powder on heinies. What I'm doing is I'm going to tell you the way it is, true, and it may hurt your feelings, but at least I'll get you out the door so you're not having to waste your time with guitar if you thought it was going to be easier or if you thought it didn't require practice and those sorts of things. So I'm not being ugly, I'm just being serious, okay? So how do you learn scales from zero? You learn scales from zero. Everybody did. Hendrix did. Van Halen did. There's no guitar player that didn't. But you start with the major scale because the major scale is the de facto benchmark that you compare everything else by. You compare all the modes by it, the minor scale, the harmonic minor scale, melodic minor scale, the chords, everything when they refer to a flat 9 or a sharp 7 or, well, not a sharp 7, but they refer to a flat 9 or a flat 7, flat 5 or flat 7. They're talking about that which is based off of the major scale. So if it's a flat 7, you go to the 7, you flatten it. If it's a flat 5, you go to the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you flatten it. That's why it's called the flat 5, also known as the blue note or the tritone, but that's how we figure that out, okay? So start there. If you start any other place, you're already screwing up. I really, truly mean that. Look, I don't say this stuff over and over and over and over and over again because I don't know anything else. I say it because it's the most important stuff, and if you focus on this basic stuff, everything else you can stack on top of it. But if you don't have the foundational stuff, good luck. I'd like to see it happen for you. I really would. I don't mean that sarcastically, but it ain't going to happen. Because that's like saying, I'm going to be a speechwriter, but I don't have time to learn the alphabet. That's too much. I need to go straight to the big words. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's never worked like that for anybody. So we definitely are not going to fool ourselves to think that that's going to work that way for us, right? Right, okay. We're on the same page. Okay. Mark says, free sucks. I know. Well, I can charge for it if you'd like. Some folks mentally, it's been proven that if you pay for something, even, if you pay for something, you definitely will spend more time and more energy in it. That has been proven. Yeah. Oh, I like that. My knees. I was born with a worried mind. I looked to the sky and left it behind. Yes. Drew. Yes, those jam tracks are incredible. Thanks. Yay. Eric, I love those jam tracks. Good. Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Okay. Ooh, my knees is making chili. Cincy chili is pretty cool. Yeah. Speaking of Pearl Jam, I was listening to some live this morning. Remember those guys from the 90s? Oh, freaking love that Throwing Copper album. Is bonkers. They were so in the zone. Okay. Have not seen your little sister in a while. Do you still like your B&G? Yes. Crossroads Little Sister? Yes, I do. P90s are what I have in it. It is a smaller body than a Les Paul. Yes. And is it great for blues? It's fantastic for blues. So I needed a nice slide guitar that I just left in open tuning, and that's what I did with that. So when RJ Ronquillo came and did the slide course here, I needed a good guitar, and I really wanted to learn along with him while he was doing the course, because this is what I do with these artists is when they come in, I want to make sure that you're going to get it. So I try to slow them down some because they're such great players, and sometimes they're moving too quickly, so I try to really slow it down. And I needed a guitar right there with me while I was listening to him. Even if I wasn't in the room, I was in the other room. And like I told you, I've said this before, with RJ's course, which we just had on sale, by the way, that taught me how to play slide guitar. The way he taught it, it was so good, it was so succinct, so simple. But that's what I use that B&G Little Sister guitar for now. P90s, yes, smaller than the Les Paul body, and I just heighten the strings, raise the action, and it's my slide-only guitar. Oh, Drew, thank you. The free 30 classes is one of the best things to happen for and to me. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you, brother. It's a life show. It is. Live, life, sure. Both. That's why people pay to go to the gym. I know, and they don't have to. Yes, you are right, Gary. As a vet, I pay it in another way. You did, sir, and thank you so much for your service. By the way, if you don't know this already, if you are an American vet or active duty, the Unstoppable Guitar System is available to you for free. The entire thing, the pro version with everything, with my assistance, with my live broadcast, everything, it's free for you. If you are a veteran, if you know a veteran who could use it, I can't tell you how many folks, how many veterans we've had in the program that have said it has massively helped with PTSD, in some cases completely gone away. Not my words, their words. You'll see the stories if you get in there. But if you have a veteran or someone active duty, American, we would like to get that course to them. Go to YourGuitarSage.com/veterans, and that's the way to get it started. Am I right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Oh my God, started playing the guitar for a month. Now I can play AC/DC, solos, Amy Winehouse, Queen, etc. And I want to ask you for any advice for a beginning electric guitarist. Great question. So here's what to do. I've got probably 3 or 4 things to tell you. Number 1, make sure that you're in something step by step. If you like the way that I teach, go to my step-by-step course. If you like the way Marty teaches, go to do Marty's course. Justin, do Justin's course. I don't care. I just want you to be doing somebody's course, some step-by-step. Somebody who's done this and dedicated their whole damn lives to it, like the 3 of us have, and a slew of other great players and teachers online here, okay? So start with somebody who is passionate about teaching, not passionate about playing, because that's not a teacher, okay? I've seen great players who can't teach for crap, and I've actually seen great teachers that can't play very good too, but they can still teach really well, okay? Yes, let me give you some advice here. So that's the first thing. Here's a Finn to say thank you for the great inspiring info. Thank you, Tiger. Tiger Deej. So sweet. So sweet. Okay, so that's number 1, is start there. So Baglarka, YourGuitarSage.com/30 is where you want to go. Don't forget. The link is maybe below. If not, you know where to go. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Start there in that free course. That's number 1. Listen to all my advice in there. Do that stuff slowly and surely. The beginning of playing guitar is absolutely so important. You really want to pay attention to detail and practice as much as possible and really establish those foundational bits, because you're going to use them all throughout your playing. Okay, you're never going to not use them. Be encouraged and understand that there is no thing that you cannot do on this guitar. I'll say it again. There's no thing that you cannot do on this guitar if you get the right instruction, which is not hard these days. There's lots of instruction out there. You just got to keep looking until you find the right thing, or get with a good teacher who knows what they're talking about. And then practice. Literally, there's no thing that you cannot do. You say, I can't play like Hendrix. No, because you hadn't practiced like Hendrix. But if you practiced like Hendrix, you would be able to play like Hendrix. It's very simple math, okay? And I have some really great guitar teacher friends of mine that don't believe that, but I am telling you that I have never not seen that to be true. And I've taught tens of thousands of lessons. I'm not exaggerating. And when you're doing this for, flipping 10, 12, 16 lessons a day, 18 lessons a day for weeks, months, and then years, you start stacking that up, you can see very quickly. You can get to over 10,000 lessons very quickly. And I've only seen my students improve, the ones that practice. The ones that didn't, they just didn't get better. And that's the way it works all the time, 100% of the time. Let me buy you the stuffing for your tofurkey. Live Alive 42. Thank you, my friend. Tofurkey. Believe it or not, I have never had tofurkey. I've never had it, and I don't think I want it. But yes, I am very plant-based, so I try to eat as much plant-based stuff as possible. It's absolutely changed my life in so many different ways. I won't go into it, but I have not had tofurkey. But that field roast stuff is good. It's got lots of gluten, but it's good. It's really good. All right, so understand that you can do anything that you want on the guitar if you apply yourself, okay? The more you practice, the better you're going to be. Get a looper pedal. Play with other musicians. Learn the major scale. That's in the free course I'm giving you. Start at that course. If you do that, I mean, there's a reason we've had over 500,000 people go through that. It truly is going to get you on the right page. Okay. All right. All right, let me get a couple others here before we head on out. You guys have been fantastic today. Is it easier to play an electric, or meaning easier on the hands, Marine Mama? Yeah, as a rule it is. But there are acoustic guitars that the action's real low and real nice, right? Plays like a dream. And then there's electrics that have high action and play like crap. So that being said, that's a caveat. But as a general rule, electrics are easier to play. They're easier to bend on. The strings are easier to mash down. They're louder, so you don't have to strum as hard. So as a rule, yes, it's easier. But it does matter on the specific guitar. Thank you, brother. Eric's 30-day course is the bomb, and it's free. Thank you, brother. What's the secret in mixing major and pentatonic over 1-4-5 dominant chords? Archon, this is what I would say is this: there's not a secret to it, but when you're practicing minor blues, practice minor blues. When you're practicing major blues, practice major blues. Don't mix them up at first, because that's really going to get you confused, okay? What happens is, and I have a video on this, it's called Why Rock Players Can't Play Major Blues or something like that. If you were to just search that on YouTube, YourGuitarSage, Why Rock Players Can't Play Major Blues, you'll probably find the video I'm talking about. But the idea is this: so much of the blues or the rock licks that we play are based off of blues, minor blues. If you're a rock player, you know, if you grew up listening to AC/DC and well, AC/DC does a little bit of major blues, but AC/DC, Zeppelin, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Def Leppard, guys like that, it's all minor key stuff, so they're using the minor blues a lot. They're not using major blues. So you start playing major blues, and you're like, now wait a minute, where's my tonic, and why is this shaped this way, and those notes aren't the same anymore. So you go to play the same licks, the same riffs that you're used to, and they just don't sound the same anymore. So what you need to do is get accustomed to playing some basic licks. Watch the video I have on the BB box. Search YourGuitarSage BB box, and that will help. Focus just on major blues. Then when you got that idea, then you can shift gears. That's what I do. If I'm playing, you know, if I'm playing minor blues like this, this is all minor. Now I might shift gears to major blues. So there I'm, you know, mainly doing major blues. So I will shift gears. It's not to say that you can't combine the two, because you definitely can, and I have, but my advice to you is focus on the one and then shift gears and just focus on the major. And what I mean by that is you may focus on the major for like a week or a month or a year or 2 years or 10 years, just getting good at major blues. And then you can start mixing the two. That's what I would do. Any particular exercise to be better at palm and neck muting? It is just palm and neck muting. The exercise is what it is that you're trying to do. So take a song that you like already, because you know you've got that in your ear. Practice that song. People say, you know, I need an exercise for this. You probably don't. You probably need to practice the thing that you're trying to do. If it's a song or something like that, just do that and just practice it. Do it more and more and more and more. And then as you do it, you're going to get better at it. Okay, hello, Scunge from New Zealand. All right. Is it enough to learn from the net? Can I be a popular guitarist? The internet or books don't have anything to do with you being a popular guitar player. You excelling amongst the other guitar players is the thing that's going to do that, right? So you have artists like Marilyn Manson or what have you, to where maybe where they lack in talent, they have lots of flash or what have you. I'm not saying he's not talented. I don't particularly dig him, but you know, you have some sort of flash, something that gets your attention. But when you don't have that, say like B.B. King, I mean, he had a shtick, but the shtick was him being honest. So he just played genuinely, right? And the thing that made him so good was that he spoke from the heart when he played. That's what we need more of in the world, is people speaking from the heart. We're tired of the lies, and we're tired of the facade and everything else. So if you want to be a great guitar player, speak from your own voice, but don't think that that means that you can't practice, because everybody wants to hear your voice, but they want to hear it the best way possible. So you want to practice a lot. Okay, and is the internet, I mean, think about the internet. There's like an insane amount of information out there, and an insane amount of misinformation too. Probably more misinformation than there is information at this point. So you got to know who to follow. It's not that hard. You're watching one of them, and then the other guys that I mentioned, follow them. That's a great place to start. But yes, it's all within you. You don't even need the internet, but it's helpful. Yeah. All right, maybe, let me see if any last ones here. Okay. All right, friends, I think we got to all the questions. We went a little bit over today, but that's all right. I really wanted to get this stuff to you. Friends, next week, number one, thank you so much for all the donations. Please give this video a thumbs up before you leave. That would be a kind gesture, making the world a better place by hitting the thumbs up button. Leave a comment below after this is done if you'd like. Subscribe, notification bell, all videos. You know the whole drill. If you like this stuff, if you don't, definitely don't do that. Okay? So today was just a basic blues primer, just covering those three things to get you on the right page, because we're gearing up for Corey coming in the studio next week. Corey Congilio will be here. He'll be sitting right here, and I'll be over here a little bit, and he's going to school us on some blues, okay? So be here for that. Massive merch sale going on right now at YourGuitarSage.com. Dueling Ninjas, we have a handful of them left. If they didn't just sell out, I know some folks just bought some. So there you go. Love you guys. I'm out of here. See you. Anything else, Mike? That's it.